Welcome everybody. Take 3, we're gonna get it this time. Alright, hopefully I don't have any interruptions. It's funny, behind the scenes, one day I have to do behind the scenes so you can see. Alright, so here we go. I came by Rubey, welcome and thank you for coming back to all my subscribers, and for everybody, I wish you all the blessings on whatever you try to achieve. And remember, don't look for what you don't have, but instead work with what you have. Today we're going to talk about CMU. What is CMU, you ask? CMU is consciousness, the matrix, and the universe. We're going to get into all 3 of these topics. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video. And hopefully you stick around and get something out of it. And eventually throughout the videos, I'm going to start putting in chapters so you can specifically go to wherever you want to at that point within the video. Just give me time because I'm learning. But we're going to learn together all these topics and get into this. What is consciousness? The meaning, the state of being awake of one's surroundings. Consciousness I love because I think it's an energy that we could all tap into. An example I would give would be, like if I wanted to go into a building, I can go into a building multiple different ways. I can, if there's a fire escape, climb up the fire escapes. Do they still have those? I can also go through a window. If I have enough money or something like that, I might say, helicopter, drop me down right here. Or I could go to the front door. You get the gist of it. So just like consciousness, you can connect into this to so many ways. It's such a beautiful topic because the mind is something that till this day, very hard to understand. People have tried to figure it out. It's tough. Maybe it wasn't meant to figure out, but was meant for you to use it as a tool to expand your spirituality, your knowledge, your wisdom, and everyone and everything around you. Imagine that one. I want to get into a topic of something that isn't talked about too much. If you're an academic, if you are someone that wants to be creative in any way, you need to break free and not stick to that norm. It's going to be tough, but I ask you this question to all those peoples out there. I can tell you personally myself, I wrote it down here. Modern day philosopher. I am also a poet. I am a life coach and a spiritual advisor all into one. What are you? Are you that academic or that teacher or whatever follows the guidelines? That's what you're supposed to. But you know in your heart and your truth you want to break off and start something on your own practice to give people real knowledge? Because you know sometimes that what youth was taught or what you're teaching or whatever it may be is not up to you. You really don't you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't match up. But you still go because you don't want to be ridiculed or not be part of the club or the clique. Get that club or clique. Come join us, the light workers and everyone else out there. Don't think it's such a lonely side. Well, it is a little. All right, so back to topic at hand. Consciousness itself, you can connect into this. It's so beautiful by using this. Like I always say, mind, body, and spirit is one, is something that is beautiful. And we have all these ancient religions, right? I'm going to give you a perfect example. So, how they say a philosopher is a person who seeks wisdom or enlightenment, right? I believe from the beginning of time, things will either pass down through word of mouth or forms of records or written down. A lot of times some things weren't written down because they wanted to keep it within their culture and pass it on. And that's how they kept it with them and amongst themselves. You also have knowledge that now could have been for everyone else to bring us up to a higher level. And what happens that I believe personally is that every time we get into a civilization that does this, it does us unjust. Because I was listening to someone recently, Billy Carson, I believe is his name, a very intelligent gentleman. I know it's his name, but I hope I didn't mispronounce it. And he talks about things that are true. If we do not break this cycle that we keep going on and hiding certain information, and that time needs to go. We need to put this all out there because, like he said, into a lot of research of mine, you can connect a lot of dots. A lot of them you can't because it's just empty pockets and spaces that, all right, as much as you get in tune, yes, you understand, but there's a lot of questions still out there. And there will always be. When you get into this field and line of work, I love it because there's always something more to learn. Ask any academic, any spiritual person out there, and they'll tell you, yeah, it's impossible to learn all this, but you have to learn what's right for you to bring your vibrational frequency, your spirit, your chakras, your whatever you want to be, whatever you want to learn, awakening, enlightenment. There's so many words, right, for everything. So think about that. Just because you think of something, don't discredit someone else, because there's many different ways to look at something. Take the blinders off and look at things through all different angles. Consciousness is great because we all are as one. What happened is, I believe, honestly, through all intergalactic galaxies, places, I think the same thing we're going through is happening on all different planets and everywhere else, that they're going through certain conflicts, because if we're going through it, then they're going through it, because since we're all connected, that's what's going to happen. There's going to, or when it gets to that point, they're going to be like, something is, how I say, almost like the Star Wars, a Jedi, there's a disturbance in the Force. Yeah, well, there is a disturbance in the Force, because we got to get our act together. We have to break through to all that. I got a lot of videos on the channel about that. Look into some of them. So with the consciousness, let's get into this matrix. I'm going to go into a little bit of each one, and then we're going to do a synopsis of everything and break it all down. What is the matrix? I put in my own interpretation of it, and I wrote a mathematical formula created by collective consciousness. So that collective consciousness, because life to me, like I have back here, the flower of life, they say this is many things: the face of God, the blueprint of life, geometrical patterns and shapes, just like quantum physics and quantum entanglement. It's so much information could be passed, and could be passed really far and quickly. These things are now coming into play, where people are starting to look into this and do their homework, and it's an amazing thing. If I had to tell you anything, if you want wisdom and knowledge and you want to preach to someone, go out there and study it, know your stuff. Because that way, when someone asks you, you're not sitting there like, no, you don't want. They're like, yeah, I remember this, and that. And one thing I learned, that a lot of academics and spiritual people, or whoever's out there, try to give you knowledge. And I listen to them speak. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was thinking. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, that clicks into what a hypothesis that I had within my head. You know why? Because we're thinking outside the box. We're not thinking mainstream or what was taught to us, but instead going off that inner consciousness that's with all of us. It's like a fabric of reality. And I had watched a couple documentaries. I did some, research, and I always wondered, a lot of things you see people, and being myself, I will later get into a lot of stuff of jobs that I had, and in the field that I was. I've been in the spiritual field and the church and all type of it for many, many years. And one thing that I could tell you, while working inside these places, and I've been privileged to be in certain places that people haven't not maybe seen, or certain iconography and this, and I always used to see them hold like this fabric, and they would go across one hand and drape in the other one. It's not until I started doing meditation and realizing, and then the first time that I saw was almost like a wave. It was a wave like a clear, like a sheepskin, like a cloth. And it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, that is the fabric of reality in which they're holding. When you reach that higher spirituality, that's that fabric. They're trying to tell you. That's why I say you must study symbology. And it's a really beautiful thing, because there's so many hidden things within things that are around you in your everyday. And if it's meant to be for you, you're going to pick up on it. If not at that moment, don't be discouraged. If someone says, oh, you don't really see it or get it, no. Don't worry, your time will come when you will. And that fabric of reality, I'm telling you, is so thin that you wouldn't believe it. Just like that flower of life. I had a video when I saw that, or everything, it bugged the hell out of me one time too. It was so powerful. The energy that I felt and the vibration, I felt like it was going to just rip my this little body I have here, like the spirit was containing it. When it was like, oh, I was like, Rubey, I was like, let me really focus in on here. When I was in that deep meditative state, that is how strong the spirit is, and that energy that flows within you. What do I believe? A little bit off topic, why we're here. I believe we're here to fulfill reaching the highest level of consciousness that we can through experiences in life. And to do this, you really got to look deep within yourself. And if you don't, I believe a lot of different religions hit it right on. If you don't get it on, you're going to come back. You'll keep coming back. It's a recycle. It's a circle of life. But if you do, that's the stage I want to be in. I want to see what's that next level I'm going to reach. What is the matrix? My interpretation when I was reading all definitions and a lot of the stuff I go to, I have to rewrite the notes because you have to just kind of click in, because my brain, I'm thankful for that. I have like a photographic memory, and I could just look at it and say, oh yeah, I remember that, and it'll come right back up to me. So what is the matrix? My interpretation is a mathematical formula by collective consciousness. A mathematical formula created by collective consciousness. So I put here 2 bulletins. What if someone knew how to manipulate this, the matrix? What would be the outcome for the regular person? Now, imagine if certain people within, wherever it may be, knew this, kept it secret, and used it to their advantage. They can manipulate the matrix, and did not have good intentions. It would not be good for us or for anybody, or whole galactically, if you really think about it. That's why you got to understand these things, and why a lot of people put it out. And I give much praise to a lot of light workers, star seeds, everyone, academics from all walks of life, because when they come out with this, it's a really lonely path, and it might not bring them the height of success or something, but they will get there. And a lot of them I have seen, because I've saw them from young, and I see them now. My heart's content that they're now listening to these people that at first they said that's impossible or crazy or kooks. Not no more. I applaud to you all. Much. Very much applaud. Keep going at it. And look, there were example for me. Kept me going. So the matrix is something that is interconnected. See how you'll start to see this. Let's go into the next one. Are we alone in the universe? To me, absolutely not. And technology within this universe. So the CMU, consciousness, matrix, and the universe. Everything's always interconnected. These 3 I came up with, I come and I get these thoughts and I follow off those, that I follow off my intuition. If it tells me that's that knowledge I gotta get it, I gotta get it out. Before, like a lot of times I would drive by someone, it's a little bit off topic, but it'll tie into this. And I would see someone there, maybe either homeless or look, like they need help or whatever, and I would drive by and say, you know what, I should have stopped. Now, no more. I've stopped that a long time ago. I will stop and talk, and I've met people and had beautiful conversations, and their minds will blow your mind. And how do we know truly who they are? If you're a very religious person in faith, right, what do they say? Treat everyone. You never know who they could be. Treat them the same. Never judge a book by their cover. So we have all of these. So the paper, whoo, let's throw that thing away. We're going to go from the heart now. So we have all that, right? That was the bulletins. We went through everything. Consciousness, matrix, universe. All of this is one. We conform to the reality that is put in front of us. Do I believe this could be, how they say, holographic matrix, or was created, or is this a simulation? Simulation. Sure, why not? Why couldn't it be? I tell you what, if I put you somewhere in a whole town, I never let you leave that place your whole life, and everyone was in on it. That's why I like certain movies that came out. There was one like, I believe, I'm not too sure, The Truman Show or something. If I'm wrong, forgive me. But it was about that guy that his whole life was created. It was a movie, his friends and everyone. And then when he really found out, think about that, your whole reality, but he always felt something. It was that inner consciousness. That was him breaking through the matrix, the fabric of reality. He broke through it because of what? Because he went with his intuition, his feeling, and that inner consciousness, giving him that download through this mind. Because one thing, if you could ask any academic or people that are kind of into the spiritual field, this brain is uploaded, your DNA has everything you need. What happens was, I believe later on, that things were deactivated. not to give you that full potential. Can you get back to it? I don't know. Myself, I'm still in that whole field of trying to access as much as I can information from myself and from that outer field of consciousness. So through all this that we talked about, is to get your mind going and realize this. Just like, think about this. Just like we put and do our own experiments. Who's to say that we're not on this earth as an experiment being watched by others to see how we evolve? Who's to say that our DNA was not tinkered with by a higher level of consciousness, or whatever you want to call it? You know, extraterrestrial doesn't mean big head and alien. It just means someone from another distant place. At the same time, I do all this to get your mind going, to think outside and break that old fabric of reality of your thought and think of something without this, without your senses, your ears, nose, smell, taste, hands, stuff you gotta feel. The hardest thing to do is to believe in something that you can't see, touch, feel, or whatever it is. Why? Because it's within that fabric of reality that you cannot see, but you got to break into it to feel it. Think about all this. And if anything, another thing I want to leave you with is, how do we know we're the only ones here right now? You don't. This world is so big, between the oceans and the mountains and inside the earth. They just might not want to come out or see us because of our nature. And at the same time, they might just be watching us like, man, they still didn't get it yet. So we should, right? Let's get it going. Because if not, what's the point? Why are we here? Work a 9 to 5, work a job, do what you gotta do, pay your taxes. Of course, I'm saying that. Don't do that. Don't go say, I can't really say don't pay no tax. I didn't say that. You follow the laws of the land. You do what you gotta do, but at the same time, open your mind. I came by Rubey, and I thank you so much for listening to me and giving me your time. And take care. Many blessings in whatever you try to achieve. Remember, open your mind. Look at everything from all different angles. And believe and feel. Take care.